Kelly Davis, your host of the Untold Miracles podcast, and today I am so blessed to have the opportunity to interview a really amazing human being. She's a singer, an actress, a philanthropist, a multiple award winner. She currently stars as Eleanor Shellstrop in the hit comedy on NBC, The Good Place. You might also know her from the movies and TV shows Bad Moms, House of Lies, Disney's Frozen, and one of my personal favorites, When in Rome. Kristen is a wife and a mother to 2 girls. Kristen Bell, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited that I get a few minutes of your time. I know you're very busy, but one thing I know about you is that you always make time to give back to charity, and we have been so blessed to be on the benefiting end of your support, and I just want to thank you for that and for all the love that you show our miracle kids. It truly is a blessing to be able to have your support, so thank you.
Oh my goodness. It's truly, I think, the other way around, because I get so much energy and I have so much admiration for the kids that you work with and how you support them, for the adults that work on the Miracle Network Hospitals team, but also the way that you influence the kids, and to see kids that are going through something harder than your normal average kid would be, but the brightness in their personalities and their willingness to speak out about anything and everything to other kids and to give back. It's really, I just like being around it. It's such a wonderful energy.
Well, and you do so much for us. I just want to bring up your friend, Sasha, who is a really good friend of our network. She has her own charity at only 9 years old. It's called the Sasha Project, and she's raised $26,000 for the art therapy program at CHLA, and you've helped support her in that. And it's just amazing that she, at such a young age, uses her voice to help so many people.
She's incredible. First of all, she's actually a very talented young artist. And, you know, this is what I find to sort of be the miracle that I see every day, is that she has a mother who supports her and asks her how she wants to help, and who sort of gets her thinking outside her own situation. And then with you guys is able to think creatively and bring those ideas to its full potential. And she said she wanted to start painting denim, and actually paints amazingly cute denim that you would want to buy in a store anyway, without even hearing the story, the heartfelt story behind the jeans. She makes really, really cute jeans, and she donates all that money back into children's hospitals. It's impressive. It's more impressive than a lot of the adults I know.
Well, and she has cerebral palsy, so it's not easy for her to use the left side of her body. And so by doing this, it actually helps her muscles. And I mean, it helps her and it helps other people. So it's just such a cool win-win situation. You were born at one of our children's hospitals in Detroit, correct? At Beaumont Children's?
I was, yes.
Wasn't your mom a nurse as well at that hospital?
She was. She worked in the NICU for a while, and then she worked in the geriatric ward. Yeah, she worked sort of all over that hospital, and she is still a nurse.
So when you were younger, were you exposed to the hospital, like to visit her and see her interact with her patients?
Oh, yeah, very much. In fact, I get a lot of my quirkiness in my personality from my mom, and my mom is very interested in science and in caregiving, and obviously nursing is a great profession to go into. And I remember she trained later in her career to be a cardiologist nurse, so she would help in a lot of heart surgeries. And I remember, you know, when I was in middle school, watching open heart surgery VHS tapes in my living room with her. And then one time she actually, and I don't even know if this is legal and I should out her, but she borrowed, and I'm using air quotes, 3 human hearts from the morgue and brought them into my high school science class and showed us what human hearts actually look like.
How long was she in the NICU before she transferred over to be a cardiologist nurse?
You know, I'm not sure. It wasn't long, because I think that's a very, very hard place to work. To see anyone struggle is difficult, and you have to have a certain amount of resilience within you, but particularly to see kids struggle was very, very difficult for her. And not that it's any easier to see old people struggle, but I think I felt like she thought that was a better fit for her.
Well, I feel like your mom was so influential in you becoming the giving person that you are today.
You know, she always taught me that you have 2 hands for a reason. One is to help yourself, and the other one is to help others. And I think I witnessed her doing a lot of philanthropy work, or whether it was just working at a local soup kitchen, which we did usually for Thanksgiving. I just kind of got this basic idea that we were all in it together and that Earth is kind of tough for a lot of people. I got that basic foundation from her. And I also got just a good perspective on witnessing people and seeing them. And she always used to say little things that contributed to me as an adult, like, you know, be careful how you speak to a telemarketer. They may sound annoying by calling you during dinner, but you don't know if that person just lost their parents yesterday. Mm-hmm. You don't know if that person is struggling with cancer or just got into a wheelchair. You don't know anyone else's story. And it's just, that's a really important thing for me to keep on my mind day in and day out. Because even if you don't have medical issues, life is sometimes difficult. I live in Los Angeles, like traffic stinks, and you want to yell at other drivers, but you just kind of have to remember you never know what anyone else is going through, and you just have to be kind whenever possible. And I've been so grateful that I've been allowed to do the kind of work where people want to watch me or are willing to listen to me. And so I just think it's really important for me to be posting about things that I care about and that can help others. But to be honest, it's kind of selfish too, because I'll tell you, I sleep really well at night because I feel like I do the things during the day that feed my soul, that help my heart, and that set a good example for my kids.
For the last 20 years, I've struggled with depression, and I feel like working at Children's Miracle Network hospitals, it gives me the opportunity to think outside of myself, and I can do acts of service, but it literally helps me function in life.
Well, struggling with anxiety, depression, it helped me to learn to speak candidly about problems and struggles. My mother said to me at a young age, look, I struggle with this. Your grandmother struggled with this. It could be hereditary. If you ever start to feel this way, and then described the symptoms of anxiety and depression, know that there are a lot of options out there for you. Here are the things that help it: good diet, exercise, possibly talking to a doctor about it, possibly taking a medication. There are a lot of solutions for you, because the tricky thing with anxiety and depression is it is a disease that makes you think there is no solution. So my mother taught me to be very candid and feel no shame, particularly about having to take a medication, feeling better, because she said, look, this is a serotonin imbalance in your brain, in my brain. It does something physically to you. Would you ever deny a diabetic their insulin? Would you ever tell a diabetic, well, don't take that insulin, just figure it out? You know, you would never do that. And I'm not saying a medication is for everyone. There are so many different levels and categories, and you have to find the treatment that's good for you under the supervision of a doctor. But there can't be the stigma and shame that we've carried around with anxiety and depression. And so one of the things I hope to do is speak candidly as someone who's happy and bubbly about the struggles I've had and how I've gotten through it. And I agree. You know, my husband is sober, and one of the things that they say in AA is that the first thing you need to do when you're struggling is do an act of service. You got to get outside yourself. If you're feeling self-pity, you have to help someone else. Offer to help someone move, volunteer somewhere, take a friend to lunch and treat them. The highest human potential is reached when we are thinking outside of ourselves.
When you were in high school, you actually did a mission trip to deliver babies in Brazil?
I did.
How did that shape you?
It definitely grounded my perspective on life and what my life had the opportunity to become. I had very supportive parents, and when I went to Brazil and wanted to volunteer, I can be a little bit of a bleeding heart because I feel a lot. I have a lot of strong emotions, and when someone is in need, I have mirror neurons that fire, and it makes me want to fix it. I almost stayed there and kept volunteering, and I don't know, maybe would have become a social worker or something overseas, but I was already acting at the time, and it was actually my mom, who sat me down and said, I understand you want to stay, but if your life has the potential to go where we think it might go in being a successful actor that has a platform to speak, this could be more influential and and serve as a better way to help people. And
Wow.
I took that advice, and what I saw over there was reality. The little things, not wearing shoes, how much that can affect you, how getting a cut could turn your whole body septic when you're a kid, or not knowing how to wash your hands properly, how that could bring disease to your whole family. It was the tiny little things that I became grateful for the rest of my life.
Well, I think what's really cool is you actually started a company. It's called This Bar Saves Lives.
Yeah.
And for every bar that you eat, you help a kid get a nutrient packet, and you've helped over 3 million people, kids, eat.
Yeah.
How'd that start?
In my living room one night, my friend Ryan Devlin, who was on Veronica Mars with me, he had also done a trip to build a bridge overseas for a community that needed it, and he saw a lot of childhood malnutrition up close and personal. So when you see a starving baby, that's going to live in your brain for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't know why there's no give back in a food space, in a for-profit company, because you can ask for donations till you're blue in the face. But there's something interesting about a for-profit company that gives all their profits back to charity. It's sort of a self-sustaining give back. So we said, if we can create a really great bar that's delicious and has premium ingredients and all the certifications we want, so it's fair trade and good for you, and then the profits go to buying kids who need it food, this seems perfect. Let's dive in. And this was really his idea, and he started cooking granola in his kitchen, and then we basically didn't know anything but called a bunch of companies, figured out how to manufacture a bar, and we supply food aid charities with this severe acute malnutrition treatment called Plumpy Nut, which is sort of a little peanut butter packet with powdered milk and nutrients, and it can take a child who is on the verge of starvation and death basically in 3 months with a couple packets a day to a happy, healthy, thriving baby that, and this is key, can get back on their local food source. And it's just sort of a helping hand, and you can do it all over the world. So we want to sell these bars, This Bar Saves Lives, which are now available at all Starbucks all across the country.
Which is so amazing. Over 8,000 stores are carrying your product.
And every one you buy, not only is it great, but you're doing something good.
Dairy Queen's Miracle Treat Day is August 2nd. Visit any participating location to buy a Blizzard, and $1 or more will be donated to help kids at your local Children's Miracle Network hospital. Enjoy Miracle Treat Day with Dairy Queen on August 2nd. Across the United States, $1 or more from your purchased Blizzard treat will be donated to your local Children's Miracle Network hospital. She's a singer, an actress, a philanthropist, a multiple award winner. Kristen Bell, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
I love how you have a philosophy, happiness versus suffering. Can you tell our listeners more about that and how that helps you live your life?
Yeah, I actually kind of ganked that from listening to the Sam Harris podcast. He has a podcast called Waking Up, and he's this sort of neuroscientist and has a lot about, talks a lot about ethics. And he's had a couple different philosophers on that are very good people, and they talk about the basic human rights and the basic things that you should be thinking of. And somehow it always seems to boil down to those two words, how to promote happiness and reduce suffering. And as a kid, I grew up in a kind of a religious family where everything was black and white, and some people were bad and some people were good, and things were bad or things were good. And as I've become an adult, I've realized the world is a lot grayer and things are a lot more complex. And the way that I'm able to navigate that is by asking myself, well, does this promote happiness and reduce suffering? And if the answer is yes, then I will participate.
What is your definition of a miracle?
I think a miracle is fully realizing humans' potential for goodness. Anytime you have an idea about helping, do it. Follow through. I think those miracles are in the follow through. Even if that's just telling someone hello that you normally wouldn't talk to, or buying someone lunch behind you in line at the cafe. It can be small or big, but following through on the good ideas you have, I think, is the definition of a miracle.
Well, Kristen, you've helped create miracles in so many people's lives. What has been the biggest act of kindness that you've benefited from?
That's a tough one because I feel like I've experienced a lot of acts of kindness, probably from my husband, the closest person to me. His patience when I am struggling with anxiety and depression in particular seems never-ending, and I am so incredibly grateful for it.
I love that. I wasn't sure if you were going to mention the time that he actually got you a sloth for your 31st birthday for you to visit or meet. I thought that might be your answer.
I remember the little things he does consistently more than I remember the big things. You know, we're not big into like celebrating Valentine's Day with like a huge dinner and flowers because we believe that should be sort of all year round. Maybe not, you don't have to buy your spouse flowers, but the idea of really showing your appreciation in the way you act towards someone should be more than once a year.
Kristen, I want to know what's been the biggest miracle that's ever happened in your life.
Really, my kids, I think, having two healthy babies that are currently turning into very strong-willed young females.
Like their mother?
Yeah, maybe. That seem to be in touch with, as much as a toddler can, empathy and kindness and an awareness for the world around them. That's sort of been the biggest miracle I've witnessed. I mean, maybe the miracle is actually that my body was able to carry these things because when you're pregnant, it's such a circus in your body, what's happening. And I didn't even know that I wanted to get pregnant. It felt parasitic. I was like, I don't know if I want to carry someone around, and then I can't get any space. It's there for 9 months. But it turned out to be the most joyful thing that's ever happened to me. And now every time I look at them, I feel the influence and the excitement of the next generation and that things move forward and that my life is not the only life that matters and why I should be fighting for a greater good because it's going to be handed down. And those are just really great, I think, beautiful concepts that contribute to a very healthy and happy life perspective.
I love it. And I love how you're able to be an amazing mother and have a career. How do you balance both of them so beautifully?
First, I would say balance, we got to strike it from the dictionary. It'll never happen. Stop thinking about it. Stop striving for it. It's never going to happen. Just forget it. Throw it out the window. What you can do is try to be present wherever you are. That's going to involve some heartache. When I'm at home, sometimes I'm feeling really creative and I wish I were at work. And sometimes, all the time, when I'm at work, I think about my kids. I scroll through pictures of them on my phone and I wish I were just listening to them talk. Staying territorial about your priorities helps. It's a very hard thing to stand up for, to say no to things, to say, I'm not going to do that press engagement on a weekend because the weekends belong to my kids. And yes, I know I'm going to get a call from one of my bosses saying this is really important and you need to do this. And I'm going to have to say, I'm so sorry. Right now, when my kids are young, this time is theirs. I listen to them when they want to talk about how tall they are today or they want to put their diaper on backwards first. And I just enjoy it because it won't be there forever. And the minute it's gone, I will want it back again.
I do want to talk to you about when you were a little girl. I want to know what your dreams were, and were there any miracles involved from you starring in your first play at 13 years old as a banana and a tree without any lines to becoming a Hollywood star?
I found acting through music. I always loved music. I sang from the time I was very little and then, studied voice all through high school, and I loved learning new music. I loved singing operettas. I competed in solo and ensemble competitions when I was in high school, which is what, the sort of really nerdy kids did, and I loved it. And as I grew up, the idea of telling stories and being a part of entertainment was really appealing to me because you got something out of it. Being an artist, when someone watches a movie, even if it's just to make them laugh for 2 hours, what you're doing is putting all of their issues on hold for 2 hours and saying, you know what, let me just invite you in here, come watch this laugh. Or if you're a part of a more dramatic project that someone might learn something from or see the way you coped or handled something or broaden people's perspective on relationships or diversity. It's weirdly like an ability to teach goodness. And I think when I was little, I never had an epiphany about wanting to be a famous actress or anything. But I was going through a memory box recently, and I saw, like, when I was maybe 9 or 10, you had to write out what you wanted to do when you were an adult, what you saw yourself doing. And I wrote, I would be up on stage making people laugh proudly.
Wait, how old were you when you wrote that?
Probably 9 or 10.
Wow.
And I felt that from a very young age. I feel, it's not arrogance, but I feel very proud of what I do, and even the silly comedies, the broad comedies I'm involved in, because life can be hard and people need to laugh.
Well, speaking of comedies, The Good Place is amazing, and it actually teaches people about ethics and philosophy and how to be good. I would love for you to share with our listeners kind of the plot for the show and what you love most about being on it.
Yeah, well, the show is, created by Mike Schur, who created Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Parks and Rec, and he worked on The Office for many years. So he's kind of this, king of comedy. And when I met with him, he was uniquely preoccupied with the same thing I was, which is, how do we share Earth? Like, how do we all get along? Is there a way to make it happen? And is the key listening to people like great thinkers like Plato and Aristotle and all these people who wrote out good ethic systems? And he said, what if I could make a show that talked about why we need one another and why helping people is good and can contribute to a ton more happiness, why we should promote happiness and reduce suffering, why we should care. But what if I packaged it in a very digestible, comedic way? And I thought, you are basically living my dream. I would love to do that. So the show, is about these 4 people. My character is sort of a clerical error that gets into heaven, essentially. And she...
You were supposed to make it to the bad place, but you made it to the good place.
Yeah. She has to learn how to be a good person. And what if you were an adult and your whole life you didn't really know how to be a good person? How would you learn? Why would you learn? And what would you get out of it? And that's what the show is all about. And I love working on it because it really, people watch it with their families, and their 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds are introduced to these concepts about why it's important to be kind.
Is it weird to play that role? Because it's so opposite of who you are in real life.
No, it's actually really fun, to be honest. For me, it's fun to play a character in these situations that gets to learn, because it is definitely not my personality to be as unself-aware as Eleanor Shellstrop is, my character. But it's kind of fun to walk into a room and only think about yourself, which is what she does. But she doesn't do it out of being malicious. She does it because it's her defense mechanism. And it's just kind of a fun thing to play with, and a great way to show the audience how she learns, because she's starting from setting such a low bar.
Well, it is such an amazing show, and I suggest everybody listening today check it out. I want to know what your favorite movie is. That you don't have to be in it, just your favorite movie.
Waiting for Guffman.
Good one. What's your favorite food?
Mulberries. Mulberries, they're so hard to find.
I was going to say, when are they even in season?
They burst in transit. They're they're like long, messy blackberries. And in California, you can find a mulberry tree once in a while or find them at farmers markets. They're so delicious. They kind of taste like blackberries, but not really. Yeah, I think mulberries are my favorite food.
What is something that most people do not know about you?
Well, maybe some people know, but I have separate control over my eye muscles. Somehow, I'm able to access the muscles separately in my right and left eye and control them like arms, kind of.
Wow, that is a very unusual talent. I did not know you had that. What actress would you like to work with that you have not had the opportunity to yet?
Maybe Helen Mirren.
You've been on Ellen many, many, many times, especially with your mom-splaining episodes. What has been your top favorite moment on Ellen?
I think my favorite moment will be on the next season of Momsplaining, because we're going to do something really, really special in this next season that will come out in a couple months. So the second season of Momsplaining is my favorite Ellen-associated moment, because I produce it with her. But my favorite moment on the show probably would have been the Valentine's Day episode from last year when Mila Kunis and I went on, and we genuinely had no idea, but our husbands surprised us on the show. And it was really, really sweet because we kind of know everything, and we can smell when they're lying, and we had no idea that they were showing up and sort of in the next room waiting to surprise us.
What projects are you working on right now that we can look forward to in addition to Frozen coming out in November of 2019?
Currently, right now, I'm actually on my lunch break shooting the third season of The Good Place, which will be on in September on NBC. And then we are about to start shooting the second season of Momsplaining, which I'm particularly fond of and invested in because, you know, I really get to create all these episodes of things that I think moms want to see and should see, and sort of have this candid perspective on mothering. You don't even have to be a mother, but if you've ever had a mother, like my favorite episode that we're going to be shooting this season is called Kids Are Gross. And it's got all the sticky things that they can bring home from preschool and what you should be aware of, and talking really candidly about it because I have 2 kids in preschool and there was a lot I did not know.
It's real life serious issues with humor.
Yeah, I think everything deserves to be loved and everything deserves to be laughed at.
Well, Kristen, the final question that I ask all the guests on the podcast is this. If there were 3 miracles you could create in the world today, what would that be for you?
Oh, wow. I think I would want everyone to have available opportunities to be self-sufficient. That's a really broad one, but what I'm encompassing is I want people to have enough food. I want people to be able to move out of war-torn areas if they want to. I want people to be able to have opportunities. And I also want people to be able to feel loved and be able to provide love. I think both of those are really important. I don't think it's good enough just to feel loved. I think it's a circle, and you have to be pushing out love in order to receive it. And I think if everyone had a lot more opportunity and gave and received a lot more love, the world would be a much better place.
Thank you so much for taking the time while you were on set today, and tell listeners where they can follow you.
On Twitter, I am the letter I, the letter M, and then my name, Kristen Bell, KristenBell. And then on Instagram, I am Kristen Annie Bell.
Well, thank you, Kristen. I really am grateful for your time. And if there's anything that we can do on our end to help you with anything, please let us know because we want to help and give back too.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of Untold Miracles. To support your local children's hospital and create a miracle in your community, go to cmnh.co/Untold Miracles to help create a miracle in your community today. $1, $5, $10, all the money stays local to help kids in your community. And if you enjoyed this episode, text LOVE-CMNH to 51555 to let us know and subscribe for more.